Welcome to CR Conversations, hosted by Ryan and Christina Palma of CR Photos.
We're professional photographers who survived the unpredictable and grueling path that took us from rudimentary dreamers to fully self-employed business owners. From sleepless nights of editing to daring leaps of faith when quitting 9-to-5 jobs, we kept pushing for the dream to become reality, and we did it together every step of the way.
Amazingly enough, our marriage also survived that journey.
In our 15 plus years in the industry, we've acquired a wealth of information that goes far beyond camera settings and marketing do's and don'ts.
We've also piled up countless stories, affectionately called Uncle Bob stories.
We'll be leaking those one episode at a time.
Don't worry, names and places haven't changed to protect the guilty.
So welcome to CR Conversations. We hope you're ready to take a deep dive into life behind the lens and so much more. Okie dokie, welcome to, I guess.
Do not start with okie dokie.
Let's start that again.
The whole thing?
Yep.
All right. Memorable things we have seen as photographers, and not just wedding photographers. However, there's probably going to be a overload
of stuff
imbalance
from weddings. Yeah. But we have had the privilege and honor of witnessing and capturing some really awesome stuff. And as we were talking about them, I'm like, hey, let's do this on a podcast. I bet people would like to know about it.
I just thought of another one.
Oh, well, maybe type it into our list and we can bring it on in.
How about we just start with it?
Okay, let's hear it. This is a surprise for me, so let's see what it is.
Okay, so we were out at Letchworth State Park and had our cameras with us, coincidentally. And I turned around and I had this feeling that somebody was about to propose.
You did. And
I was correct. Turned around. I thought the better thing at the time to do would be record. And this was like 10 years ago. So not as many cell phones. Like cell phone videos were just not where they are today. So nobody thought to grab their phone and record cell phone. It was just, I recorded with our camera video quality, which is not great quality back then either. However, recorded it 20 minutes after, saw that, the couple, and said, hey, just want to let you know I recorded your proposal. I gave them that, and then that led to a wedding. Yeah,
we actually ended up shooting their wedding. Complete strangers.
And I think we did our engagement session back at Letchworth, right?
I feel like we did. Yeah. That was a long time ago. And that actually was on the list. Proposals. So look at, what do you know?
Hey, there you go.
That is just one of many fun things we have, witnessed. But that one was a little bit extra special because that was the only proposal that was like
random.
Surprise to us. Like, whoa, this is about to happen. And yeah, you jumped into gear and caught it. So that is very cool. Another thing, we're going to go right into
Wait, can
wedding.
we stay with proposals? Because there's a few of them actually.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Well, there's another one at Letchworth that we actually knew about. It was in the beautiful, perfect. It was a perfect winter day.
It was like a snow globe.
It was sunny,
softly falling,
and huge flakes of snow.
Yeah.
We were prepared for that.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been more perfect of a day. They had set something up and we were just there doing here I am, quote unquote, we were doing a couple's photo session that turned into
an actual proposal. And family was hiding and setting up all these things. Would agree that they thought our photo session took a little too long as they were all freezing while waiting for us to arrive. But it was a big location. We had to trance around and make it seem like we're not intentionally going to this place in the woods. We had to randomly show up there. So.
Okay, and two more. One where you got just covered in poison ivy.
This one definitely changed my life.
Yeah, so this was another planned one. We had planned with some friends.
You know what? I just realized 2 of these proposals were for the same family.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, wait a second. We did another one for that family. Remember the candlelight one?
Oh, yeah.
Out of the coffee shop.
Yes.
A million candles.
True. This is very true. So we have
that
done
family, if you know who you are, we have pretty much been there for all your engagements.
So this one that Ryan is talking about, this one took place summertime. A beach, there was a kayak that may or may not have tipped over on its way there, but they eventually got there. Us, some other family members trying to remain incognito. Just let's lay in the forest and nobody will see us there. Well, that laying in the forest led to all of us who were involved getting some...
Except for me, I was in a different location.
Oh my gosh, the worst poison ivy I've ever gotten in my life. My feet, my legs, in between my toes. It was awful. So that just shows our dedication and love for people.
Yep.
To capture their love.
So that's one. This is all sibling. I had no idea.
Yep.
And then the other one was down in a coffee shop. They had thousands of candles.
Yes.
We were hiding. That one was beautiful.
That one I did not end up freezing or with poison ivy. So that one was a lot easier.
Thank you.
Although I was like just pregnant actually. And I was very sick that night. I remember walking out being like, I think we told the couple who did not know at the time I was pregnant. It was when I was pregnant with their second. And I was like, by the way, I really don't feel good. We got to go.
Okay. The last one was another surprise one at Watkins Glen. That was another one. We were there and I was like, this couple. No, actually, we saw the parents getting ready and one of them was so excited. He couldn't contain himself that he told us what was going on. And I was like, I just happen to be a photographer and I've got my fancy camera with me. And we took some photos and ended up buying, I think, a couple
huge,
prints.
Like canvas, of that like actual picture, which we have a few that look at just popped into our head right there. So there's a whole bunch that aren't even at a wedding.
Oh no, if it goes like this entire episode will be
long. A lot of the things that we've seen really have taken place at weddings. So we're going to kind of dive into that. So some really cool things that we have seen. A lot of them are stemmed to things unique that the bride and groom had done. And the first one we're going to start with is when the bride and groom toast their guest as opposed to the best man or maid of honor toasting the bride and groom. The first time we saw that done, it was so sweet. The groom was like sobbing. I don't think he could even get through it. The bride had to like take over for him. It was just very, very unique.
It was genuine, very genuine.
It created an atmosphere that felt more like family, like you're sitting around the dinner table and we're all talking, and it was just very, very special. And we have since seen that happen a couple times more recently. A bride and groom toasted their guests, but on top of that, the bride's nephew had just finished up like a cancer treatment, and they talked about that little boy who was there at the wedding today. And it was like, I don't think there was many dry eyes.
The mother was in the bridal party and she was...
Yeah, it was the sweetest. And just being able to witness moments like that or hear about things as a stranger from the outside and be able to capture those moments is amazing every single time. And those two times really stand out to me in terms of things that the bride and groom did that were like outside the norm. But yeah, those are just so special, and we never take those moments for granted.
Yeah, of course, you got to be prepared for everything. So usually we'll get heads up for stuff, but sometimes these things happen randomly and they catch you by surprise. And
you got to wipe away the tears to continue doing your job. But some other things that we've seen at weddings that are maybe more along the fun side of things. What comes to mind?
Everything seems to be tied in with all these stories right here. So the first one is going to be tied into the couple that did the very first toast their bridal, their reception.
Same couple.
Same couple later that night. The groom was a member of an a cappella group. And so he, being very close to all of his a cappella guys, they were all there for the wedding, and just, I'm sure it wasn't completely spontaneous. They must have prepared for it, but they put the bride on a chair and they all sang a cappella to her.
And she was a music teacher. Everyone in this whole wedding was like extremely musically inclined. So it was fabulous. I literally felt like I was in the middle of a movie because I was like standing behind her, getting everyone's faces as they're being photographed.
The best way to describe it is like if there was like a awesome musician in like New York City, like in a crowded place in New York City, and they started gaining like a crowd around them. That's what this was like. It was everybody was pressing in to get as close as they could. And so with our excitement in this moment, I'm like giddy, myself just trying to watch and listen, but I'm also trying to, this is way better than the boy band. But I'm trying to get in there for a good photo, but I'm also enjoying that was a very cool moment.
I'll have to pull up some of those photos to share with this part. But yeah, that one
wish we had the wide angle back then. I don't think we did.
That just touched my heart when I think of it. And yeah, that wedding was like so much fun.
Okay, pop off from the same venue.
This was more recent. So we're obviously days gone by. We're photographing and dance floor opens, fabulous. Well, then all of a sudden, bride and her bridesmaids, who were apparently like fabulous Irish dancers, literally just start Irish dancing, like flying across the dance floor, like in the air. And I'm like, what is actually happening right now? It was so much fun.
That didn't happen to touch your heartstrings being Irish.
Not at all. Not at all.
Right.
No, that was like amazing.
That was crazy awesome. She was talented. That was talented.
Yeah, and I remember, I think the bride or bridesmaid saying, we haven't done that since we were in high school. And I think it was like so super fun for them as well. So that was definitely a memorable moment as well. Along the lines with dance floor stuff, this has happened a few times, and I absolutely love it when there is a like solo saxophonist at a wedding to kind of like get on the dance floor, get people like jazzed up. Obviously it's beautiful to have them playing during cocktail hour or dinner and stuff. But when you have an instrumentalist who interacts with the dance floor and it's live alongside of a DJ, that is so awesome.
Generally it happens when there's a band there, but yeah, that saxophone, trumpet. It's almost like you're going to a concert and you're seeing somebody. When somebody steps into the dance floor with something, they become like a focal point and everybody is like, you know, playing off that energy. And
it so definitely brings like a different level of excitement to, you know, your dance floor. And it is pretty cool because I think my preference, I like it better when it's not with a live band. I like it with a DJ. It's like an added thing.
Well, and you couldn't do it the entire thing, but like,
no. Yeah. But that's another really cool thing we've seen at a wedding. Some introduction things. What are you going to say about some unique introductions we've seen?
Introductions.
Bride and groom coming in on.
Oh, yeah. They came in on Heelys.
Yeah, that was so much fun. They just literally ran right in, slid into their dance floor.
Yep. And they were even lit up. All the kids would be proud.
Yeah, that was cute, unique. I mean, obviously, we've talked about this in other episodes as well, but when the entire bridal party comes in at the same time, I know it's become more common now where all the girls will come out and all the guys will come out, but I mean the entire bridal party comes out and like surrounds the bride and groom. That is, I mean, how can your party not be amazing if it starts like that?
Disclaimer, I'll have to say this, like it is, I think it's becoming more common because people don't want to get put on the spot.
Yes, which I love. I hated the weddings I've been in. I hated being introduced. It was the worst part.
They're never a showstopper when it comes to that part. Sorry, folks. She's good at so many things, but coming out with a some novelty dance.
Yeah, my sister's wedding was literally the worst. I was like,
You tried.
I didn't try.
Okay, but what I was going to say is like, if you just say, all right, we've got people that don't want to do their single intro and you just put them all together as a group and they come out as a group, it's not the same thing. Like they got to come out with energy or it's not, you can't just be like,
obviously,
we're going to do it.
You have to know your friends. And we say this all the time. Your bridal party, your guest, your whole wedding day is going to reflect your personality. So if that's not your personality, like obviously don't do it. But when it is fabulous and it is very, very memorable.
I got to say something funny though. This is, I'll be blowing up
whether
people's
it's
spot.
funny is debatable. It remains to be seen.
Well, maybe it's not funny because some people are going to be like, oh, he's talking about me.
Be careful.
Photos hide dancing greatness or weakness. Nobody knows.
That's very true. I feel like the videographers have their work cut out for them when it comes time for the dance floor because our photos can make people look like they're the best dancers ever. Video doesn't. There's only so much slow-mo you can do to hide what's really happening.
Yep.
But yes, it is a little bit easier for us to make people look absolutely fabulous in that, quarter of a second it takes to capture them.
She was complaining about me taking too many photos. Well, sometimes I do it for you. Get that moment in between the beds.
Gosh. Another cool thing we've seen at wedding receptions, which I think is very unique, and we've literally only seen it done once. It would have to take extra time and the timeline detailing, but when a bride and groom actually have their meal privately. So in this particular case, they had a beautiful little like sweetheart table set up outside on the patio. And once dinner was served, they actually just went out by themselves and had their meal alone, which is really sweet, especially if you're not doing a first look. You are literally never going to have time alone together on your wedding day. So that's a fun way you can do that well still.
There's some perks to it. If you don't want to be there as everybody's clinking their glass, clink, 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 clink for kisses, you got a little extra space, a little separation. If you don't want people watching you eat, you got that. But that one, we've only seen it like once or twice. And the one time I'm thinking of, it was out on a private balcony. So there was only one way to get there.
Right.
And it was through the ballroom. So it was like just a
nobody
perfect
could
setting.
bother them. And it wouldn't work for every situation.
Because some people don't want to be taken away from their group.
Yeah. But if you're like, hey, I really do want some time alone to like soak a few minutes in of each other and like the day, that's like a fun way to do it and very unique.
Except if it's like you and I, and it would be like the first time eating together, which it wasn't, but how you really don't like hearing people eat. Could be like a bad memory for the wedding.
Moving on. We talked about this last episode, I think, as well, but some way to honor, parents. A new thing that we've seen, which I love, is doing something special for mom. It has been giving her a bouquet or maybe having a surprise dance with her. But that's another cool thing we've seen. But also, what's a way we've seen some maybe special adult men honored or grandmothers honored at a wedding?
So using grandmothers, which is the sweet end, using grown men is the funny end, as flower bearers.
Girls,
Or flower girls.
And we've also seen them as, instead of flower, bearers, as Ryan said, they're beer bearers. You're giving out drinks to people as they go up the aisle.
The grandma is really, really
sweet because, that's just an extra way to honor them and give them a little limelight. And that's definitely very beautiful and becoming more of a popular thing. The guys is
just hilarious.
It is very funny to see guys,
They usually come with a fanny pack and they're just, it is funny.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to do that for sure. Other things that we
let's talk about like the talent. Like we've seen some talented things.
Oh my gosh. We
talked about the Irish dancers. They were phenomenal. The acapella.
This particular best man.
He was a professional basketball player. Remember the two of them played pro basketball.
He was. When I recognize that when I say people are tall, it's like, well, everybody's taller than you. This guy was like 2 times my size. Like he was so tall. And, an athlete, to expect him to be, a stereotypical athlete. No,
he was, you could tell.
I said you expect that.
Yes, but he was right from the day. He was affluent, gregarious.
Oh my gosh.
Effervescent.
Ryan's been reading the thesaurus again, guys. Anyhow, this guy gets up there and he completely rewrote the words to the Piano Man about his relationship and
with
the groom's story with the bride and groom, and sang it very well.
Accompanied by piano.
Yeah, by a pianist who was amazing. And it was out of
like
this
blow
world.
Your socks
the
off,
entire time, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, what is actually happening right now? Ryan and I kept on looking at each other like, is this real life?
Yeah.
and
you get a front row seat to it. Yeah. You get to record other people's reactions.
Yes, it was amazing. So there have been some talented individuals in these.
Speaking of talented, I think not same wedding, same venue. There was a first dance, husband and wife, choreographed first dance. Now, people do choreographed dances. Sometimes they're almost always really cool, really good. Lots of extra applause. It's definitely takes your dance to the next level.
Yes.
But these guys, they had worked on their dance so much.
She's a cheerleader and coach. She has the talent and he is into that
committed.
Sort of stuff. And they worked their butts off and
it was smooth.
It felt like a movie.
Yeah.
When their introductions came in, it was literally like a movie, unfolding. It was very classic style wedding, kind of 1920s. It's not going to go out of style. It's just, black and white. And the music for it, and it was once again where people were just pushing closer and closer. It was getting tighter and more excited. Yeah.
People were going nuts.
It was like you're in part of a meeting. That same wedding, actually, I just remembered this, a way to honor their parents. They actually, right after that, instead of going, to parent dances and stuff, they called her parents onto the dance floor and they danced to their parents' wedding
that's
song.
Really cool.
And that was really sweet to have the couples together.
Guaranteed tears.
Yeah,
if you could be we're going to, play your parents' song at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't even know what my parents dance to.
I know what my parents is.
Yeah.
Barbra Streisand. Evergreen.
Let's take a turn into the sweeter side of things.
Yeah, we have photographed some very precious moments in that have become precious moments in our lives, but in the lives of other people. Something starting many, many years ago. Actually, one of our very first 10 official CR Photos weddings.
Oh yeah, it was in the very first.
A particular couple had a grandpa who was ailing, and
he wasn't able to make it to this ceremony, so we actually went to the nursing home where he was, and went right to the bedside, and took photos. And I even they did not have a videographer, so I slapped it into video mode, got a little video. Back then, you just wish there was cell phones were more readily available for
making it sound like we're from the boondocks.
Yeah, I know, but it's changed so much in 10 years.
Yeah, but those little things like that, we've multiple times we've stopped at parents or grandparents' grave milestones on a way to a wedding, visiting family members who weren't there, just capturing those moments and being part of such an intimate time in somebody's life is just so special. It's something we don't take for granted.
And what it really is you don't realize it, but you have the whole family there making their way out. And sometimes people are making it out of like, difficult health conditions just to be there. So whether that's somebody that's going through something or it's like an elderly parent, grandparent that's, just got a few years left. And so we end up, taking sometimes their last, good photos.
Yeah, that happens, I think, more times, than we literally even realize. And is why I always say to everyone, because a lot of people don't want to stand around and do those family formals. They take up time. And I say, hey, that's totally fine. But I always recommend 1000% you do your immediate family and you get photos with your grandma and grandpa, because you don't know if those photos could possibly be their last, professional photos they have taken of them. So don't ever, drive for convenience sake not to get those. Those are super important. And then, we have for sure photographed many of people's last photos. And that is,
we've had mothers in the bridal party that we knew, were not going to be around much longer. Yeah,
it's very difficult. In some of those situations, you've known prior, you've been informed that, hey, this person is ill, or we don't know for sure if this person is going to make it. And when you know that in the moment we were taking that photo, it's very difficult sometimes to,
there's just more weight to what you're doing.
Yeah, we, talking about like personal, I'm trying not to cry through this.
You can cry through it. It's okay. Emotion is all right. You guys could see her right now. The eyes are watery and she's smiling to try to hide emotion because that's what she does. She's Irish.
Speaking of Irish and where I am, we, and this was, very smart. My grandmother, because she's Irish and she's very wise, she wanted us to come take photos of her. Go ahead.
Her and your grandpa, which I love too, very much. And they liked, now I'm tearing up. They liked Christmas very, very much. Like playing, Santa, and Santa's a little elf. And somehow she ended up being Santa and he was Santa's little elf. But that's one of my favorite. I love that photo of him every time I see it,
Yeah, so we went to their house, we brought the lights and, took some portraits of grandma and grandpa together and then separately. And then here we are,
photographing your cousin's wedding.
Yeah, and taking a photograph of a photo you took, of somebody special. Obviously, in my case, my grandfather, who is, since passed. So those, things that you capture that you don't realize how precious and how they're going to be one day on a table, in honor of these people. So yeah, obviously our own personal experiences, other people's, there's no way you can ever know how precious a single photo is as a photographer.
Yep. No, that's that well said. I can't say any more about that, but just trying to move past this emotional moment.
There's also been, we have photographed pregnancy announcements that never made it, to be announced. We photographed sometimes precious moments. A lot of times like people don't. Yeah, because they're announcements. So sometimes they'd never even let others know. Yep. And it's, you hate to get those emails like, thank you for that. But unfortunately, and those we've heard from multiple people, those are still precious memories because it's somehow the very tangible, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, it's a tangible thing that they have to remember that baby.
Yeah, that baby was alive and growing inside the mom. We've got that photo of them with that expectation and stuff.
Yep,
so it's like
their memories of taking those photos can be a little
memories.
Sweet. Yeah. And yeah, there's so many beautiful things. There's sad things and we're thankful for all of them. But one session that we did years ago that will probably forever be a photo session that we look back on just a little bit mind blown. And this particular family, our friends, again, referring this family, it's all over this episode today. Some of the people we referred to earlier about their proposal come from a large family, and the sisters and sister-in-laws, a lot of them just happened to be pregnant at the same time. So I think it was one of the boys who was like, you guys should all do a photo shoot together since you're all expecting at the same time. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And they're like, we should include the mother. So it was obviously was one of the girls' mother and the rest were sister-in-laws. So they asked if we'd, do their photo session. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a beautiful opportunity for sure. So it was a very cold day in spring abnormally cold, and they all survived, shooting. And
you kind of helped them coordinate their dresses and stuff, right?
I don't know. I don't think so. But actually,
it was like, I remember when I looked at the session. So you got the mother and all her daughters and daughter-in-laws. And when I saw it, it was like right off the bat, it was one of the coolest shoots I'd ever seen you do. And I was like, this is special. I was like, the light was right that day. Everything was right. And everything was right.
Very unique. Very unique.
But the most important thing was like this very incredible moment where all these girls were pregnant at the same time.
Yeah.
And the proud mother.
Yeah. Yeah. So the session was beautiful and everyone loved it and so happy they did it. And
proud, very stoic mother, I might add.
Yeah.
And so what did you do that was not normal for her?
I mean, I don't know.
Well, she was not one to, openly smile she wasn't like you wouldn't look at her and be like, oh, she has always got a smile on her face. She's a very nice lady, but she was just kind of,
yeah, she was a little more stoic. So I had to, it was, this is where you have to make people feel comfortable and get them to smile and all the things.
Her.
And yes, she took a little bit more work to get her to smile naturally and things, but for sure definitely got some, especially when she was taking some of those one-on-ones with the girls. I probably said something like, pretend you like your daughter and made her laugh, something like that.
This is your favorite or something.
But yeah, great memory. Well, we all don't know. We don't know when our last days are. The mother of these girls passed, very unexpectedly, I think within 18 months of this photo shoot. And those photos were precious before, but those photos now with, her.
Yeah, they end up using a lot of the photos for the ceremony.
I'm pretty sure that one of the photos is her actual headstone, which the weight of that and knowing man, I didn't think in a million years when you're taking these photos again that you'd be photographing somebody's gravestone photo. So there have been a big weight on our shoulders, whether known or not known, that you find out later. And again, we are always honored, blessed, but we do a job that actually pays off in ways we don't know and is very rewarding. And that's why it is, very dear and precious to us. And we put our heart and souls into it. And
yeah. Well, it's not just about capturing people. It's about capturing emotions. Sometimes those emotions flow right to us.
Yep. And we've said this before too, especially as our children get older. I feel like I used to photograph weddings and I could just remove myself from everything that was happening and be like, okay, I'm here working. But now
I have emotion.
Oh, now I'm like, I can't actually literally pay attention to the vows. I can't pay attention to the father-daughter dance. I will get too heavily emotional. So,
all right. On the lighter side, then let's, some of the things we've seen at wedding receptions that have been planned by certain people, somebody getting down on a knee.
Yeah. Proposals during actual wedding receptions. And this one was super sweet because they were actually twin sisters. So the bride was getting married and
yeah, I'd say be careful on that. Make sure you're not upstaging the bride. She better know and approve of this proposal.
Yeah, for sure. But
I could think of a lot of guys out there thinking, they're going to a wedding this weekend with her.
Oh, gosh.
I'm going to propose at the wedding. Well, you had better get approval from the bride.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't randomly take somebody else's
thunder
stage.
For sure. But yeah, this one was really sweet. The bride had gotten married, obviously, had planned with her sister's boyfriend that they would propose, and it was amazing. It went off perfectly, of course, and we will be shooting that wedding as well. So that's always fun. Very, very cool. Another thing we forgot to talk about in the last point was, and it's not like it doesn't fit here as well, but surprise dances for a bride or groom whose parents have passed. That has been some really sweet moments, whether it's an uncle or an aunt or a sibling who's popped in and been like, I'm going to do a dance with my sister or uncle or something. Those have been some very sweet moments we've seen.
It's very hard not to cry behind your camera when everybody in the room is wiping their eyes and you're just shooting. Sometimes most of the time, I don't even care.
That you're crying.
Let that tear roll down my face. Yeah, but those really get you, as they should. They're like very special because you're expecting that father-daughter dance your whole life, and then it doesn't happen, and then so the brother steps in as the replacement, and something they feel when you're holding each other, and you're going through those emotions together, and you watch it. You watch the spouse that's still around, watching them perhaps, and just it's a lot, and it's not like you wake up on a Saturday morning to go shoot and you expect these things, right, but you oftentimes, as we were saying, you just get the privilege of witnessing something that you just did not know was going to happen. So we often have said that weddings are not, I would never say cookie cutter anymore, but like there's certain things that happen that you can expect, but there are things that get sprinkled in here and there, or with almost every wedding, that's just like, how did I get so lucky to be able to do this as a living?
I could not have said it better. And as we kind of wrap things up, one of the greatest things we get to do as photographers is see people again. And it never ceases to like bring me joy when we've done somebody's engagement session and then we do their wedding day, and then a year or two later, or sometimes less, oh, baby, is on the way. And then you grow with that family, and more kids are adding or doing sessions. And that is so amazing and rewarding. And one of the really cool, really awesome things we've been doing a lot more the last few years is doing those generational shoots. So when you have, your bride and groom and then their parents and their siblings and all that, those are just, and having done that with my family, we did it once, we for sure need to do it again. Like those photos are priceless and those experiences are awesome. And I mean, nothing is better than just continually growing with each stage of life that that couple has now entered.
Yeah, those generational photos are so precious. And you think about mothers and how hard they struggle to get like family together for a photo with like teenage kids and stuff. As like kids are getting older, like, I don't want to get in the family photo and stuff. But when, you organize these family photos, these generational photos, and everybody gets in there, and you kind of realize the weight of it when, grown siblings that haven't been together in a group photo, all four or all five or however many siblings they have are all together, mom and dad. And I think moms and dads in that moment, you could look at them and you could see like the pride and the joy, but a lot of people don't realize how special they are until years down the road.
When tragedy strikes, you're preparing for somebody's funeral or something, and you look back and you're like, oh, we do have this, or with regret, like, oh, I wish we did have. And
it's funny with all the photos that can be taken nowadays, you could, open up your phone and everybody could take a photo so easily. And those often funeral services now and the slideshows are, 50, phone photos and professional photos, or just old point and shoots. However, those ones that you organize, you put time into, you gather people together, it's really about the people. When you take some, some effort and energy to gather all these people together and put them, it's priceless. It really, really is priceless.
Yeah.
Not to promote more of those photo shoots, but guys, if you are thinking about it,
not to promote and then promote. No, I will say, shamelessly say, if you thought about getting, a generational family shoot, or just whoever, like, don't think about it, just do. Along those lines, we have experienced multiple times in the last year sessions that people had lined up to do a multiple generational shoot. And unfortunately, people have passed and we weren't able to do that. More people have become ill, and you just don't know what tomorrow will bring. And those photos are what is left of them. So.
Okay, we can't end like that. Give everybody a little bit of hope, a little bit of joy at the end, after all year. I'll
give you a real life situational happenstance, we shall say. You can put all the time and effort and energy and money into trying to assemble your family for a generational family photo shoot, but all of us have at least one family member who, will balk and not want to be a part of this, or just completely not show up to the photo shoot. There may or may not be a sibling that may or may not have done that for our, photo shoot.
Missing from a huge Christmas present.
Remains missing in the photo shoot. No, so for real, my brother, who we love dearly, did not come to our, I don't know.
But he showed up for the second one.
I don't remember what happened, but he was not there. And we had planned, this is like my mother's like Christmas present. This is a big ordeal. And we printed this huge, and when I say huge, I mean, it was like 4 foot by 4 foot photo. And we bring it in.
It wasn't a square, 4 foot by
whatever.
About 4 by 6 or something.
But like 4 feet by 6 feet. Cause they have like,
huge.
It was ginormous. It was like, my face was my actual size, my face. And, we bring it to my mom on Christmas morning.
She's so
looking
happy.
at it and she's so happy. And then she goes, "Oh, where's my Daniel?" And we're like, "We don't know where he was, Mom."
You'll have to bring that up with him.
Yeah. So, good luck arranging your family. And I wish you more, success than we had on that day.
What do we always say about the foremost? It's the hard part.
It's getting everyone there.
It's like you have to pull teeth to get everybody standing in the right spot, and people are just
they don't want to listen, and
they're
talking, and they're doing all the things, and they want to
do all that work. Get them there
for 2 seconds of the shooting,
and then everybody smile 1, 2, 3,
and that's the one that gets put on the mantle for years and years to come. So don't skip them.
Yep, on the mantle. Let's get out of here.
Okie dokie. We hope today's episode was insightful. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe and leave us a 5-star review, as this helps others find us. If you have any questions or comments on topics you would like to hear us unpack, please send those to podcast@crphotos.org. Lastly, don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We can be found at C_R_conversations, and turn on those notifications so you never miss a post.